Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway. Our news and notes for this week. And, of course, everything in this week revolves around what's going to take place this coming Friday night, April the 1st at the D.C. Armory in Washington, D.C. It's the Premier Boxing Champions card promoted by Mayweather Promotions, AB Promotions, About Billions Promotions, and the Headbangers Promotions. It'll be at the D.C. Armory in Washington, D.C. Of course, we're talking about Adrian Broner's WBA Super Lightweight Championship title defense against Ashley Theophane, of London, England. So today we're gonna preview the entire card. The entire card is together. I'm going to preview the entire card and talk a little about the press conference and some of the other things around that situation. Now, let me tell you this. We were told today at the final press conference, and I was hoping to get some sound from that press conference, but the internet situation at the Hamilton Live was not very good where we were located. We were in the basement of the facility, and it just wasn't good enough. So I got rid of those attempted interviews. Hopefully we can get some better ones when we go to the weigh-in on Thursday. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Now, the show itself, there are, from what I've heard, a little bit less than 200 tickets available for this card, all in the $25 seats, all ringside, all $100 seats. Everything is gone except for the $25 nosebleed seats. So we look like it's going to have a very good crowd on hand on Friday night. Remember, the doors open at 5:30. Doors open at 5 o'clock Eastern time. First bout is at 5:30. And the PBC on Spike telecast on Spike TV begins at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to run down the bouts first that are on that telecast. Okay, we'll start with that. Of course, the main event, Adrian Broner, Cincinnati, Ohio, 31-2, 23 KOs, taking on Ashley Theophane out of London, England. He's 39-6-1 with 11 KOs. Now, a lot of talk this week has been about Adrian Broner's legal situations, and from what we've been told, and it's been reported throughout the country, is that it will have really no bearing on what takes place on Friday night. He will be able to fight. He will not be arrested afterwards. Everything will be taken care of, and what we hear when he gets back to his hometown of Cincinnati after this fight. So that's a situation there. As far as the press conference today, it was very weird because, first of all, Broner got there a little over an hour late, okay? And when he got there, he really did not say a whole lot during the press conference. You'll see some quotes that'll be planted throughout the social media and throughout the country, but bottom line is, during the press conference, he had very little to say. He even said he really didn't want to be there, because the fight had already been sold. And as I said, there's less than 200 tickets left for this bout. So he did talk a little bit later. He promised he's going to knock out Theophane, and Theophane talked about going to war. And this is a big opportunity for Ashley Theophane because he's never fought for a world title before. He's 35 years old, going on 36, and he's never fought for a world title. So we'll see what happens in this situation. Broner promises he's going to knock him out somewhere between the 4th and the 8th round. We'll see what happens in the main event. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Also, the co-feature has Robert Easter out of Toledo, Ohio. He's undefeated, 16-0, 13 KOs, taking on former world champion Algenis Mendez out of San Juan, Dominican Republic. He's 23-3-1 with 12 KOs. I like Robert Easter. I think he's going to be a very good pro. He's continued to be a very good pro. He's fought here a couple of times here in the Beltway region, all in D.C., and it's always been impressive. He's got a good group behind him. His father is one of his trainers, and Adrian Broner thinks the world of him, just like Floyd Mayweather thinks the world of Gervonta Davis. We'll talk about Gervonta in a second. But they're in the co-feature on television. It's a 10-round lightweight bout. Robert Easter taking on Algenis Mendez. Then the opening bout of the PBC on Spike telecast, which starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time, will feature Baltimore's own Gervonta Tank Davis, 14-0, 13 KOs, taking on Guillermo Avila of Jamaica, Mexico. He is 15-5, 12 KOs, but his last win came against a boxer who was 1-25. So on the surface, it should not be a lot of problem for Gervonta Davis. It's been a pretty big couple of weeks for Davis because earlier in the month, he was honored by the city of Baltimore for his great work, not only representing Baltimore as a boxer, but also his work in the community, especially during the trials that they had in Baltimore last year after the Freddie Gray situation. So Gervonta Davis and other members of the Upton Boxing Center in Baltimore, we talked to him during that situation. Hope you hear the interviews right here on the Boxing on the Beltway Google app for Android. And he's been credited for a lot of things going on positively in the Baltimore community. He was honored for that. So we'll see what happens. Of course, as Adrian Broner thinks highly of Robert Easter, Floyd Mayweather thinks very highly of Gervonta Davis, as we do as well, because we've known how great Davis has been for quite some time. So that's the opening bout on the telecast. Super featherweight bout, 10 rounds. Gervonta Davis taking on Guillermo Avila, then Robert Easter taking on Algenis Mendez, and then the main event at Adrian Broner defending his title against Ashley Theophane. The undercard is what you are really going to be here for, in all honesty. This undercard is actually very stacked. It's a great undercard. Some really good people, and of course the Beltway and in particular DC, and even more in particular, the Headbangers are going to be well represented on this card. But before we get to that bout, well, actually, no, let's start with this bout, and that's Anthony Peterson returning to action. He's 36-1, 24 KOs, taking on Samuel Nikwe, who's originally from Accra, Ghana, and he also trains in the DC area. And so he is 22-1, 15 KOs. Now, Anthony Peterson, as he told me during the press conference, his biggest thing has been his inactivity, and there's been some injuries involved with that. He has had some fights fall out on him in the last minute, and he's really had some real tough time being consistently active. And he's hoping to change that in 2016. A lot of people don't want to fight him. Right? His only loss was to Brandon Rios, and that was really a tough bout indeed. But other than that, he's fought very, very well, fought some quality people. And we'll see what happens. That's a scheduled 10-round bout. Nikwe, last time we saw Nikwe, he actually won a bout recently, but before that, he was in the Boxino lightweight tournament on ESPN back in 2014. He was knocked out in the second round. So, yeah, we don't really know how good Samuel Nikwe is. Most of his bouts have been in his native Ghana. So, to see him in this situation against a quality boxer like Anthony Peterson, we'll see what happens there. That's a 10-round bout. That's the leading bout on the undercard. J. Leon Love out of Inkster, Michigan. He's 21-1, 11 KOs, taking on Michael Benga out of Lagos, Nigeria. He's 17-24 with 16 KOs. Now, again, on the surface, this looks like a terrible bout. Benga is interesting because he recently lost broken 8-bout losing streak. He won a 6-round majority decision. Now, he has fought a couple of Beltway boxers in his career. He fought Thomas Williams, and he fought Phil Jackson Benson. He won a 10-round unanimous decision with Thomas Williams Jr., and Phil Jackson Benson knocked him out in the 7th round. Those were in back-to-back bouts, by the way. So, he may be a tough out for J. Leon Love, who's coming off a 10-round unanimous decision over Marcus Upshaw, bounced back after his first pro loss. That's an interesting bout because the criticism on J. Leon Love is that he doesn't push very well. In other words, he's not always active. He takes some rounds off. He really does not fight to his potential. So we'll see what happens when he does in this bout against Michael Benga. That's a 10-round bout. In an 8-round bout, Damon the best at it, Nicholson, 15-1, 15 KOs out of Laurel, Maryland, taking on Joshua Okine. He's from Accra, Ghana, 22-4, 15 KOs. And I think a good step-up bout for Nicholson. We don't know really how good Okine is, but it's been interesting to see how that bout takes place. So with Joshua Okine, he also competes out of Silver Spring, Maryland. Nicholson's coming off he's actually 16-1, 16 KO. I think they have his roster, his record wrong in here. But he scored a first-round TKO over Jose Valderrama. That was back on February 27th at the Washington Convention Center, the King's Promotions card. And Okine, who is actually listed at 28-5-1, 17 KOs, had a 9-bout winning streak snapped when he was knocked out by Marco Antonio Parabon in the third round on October 17th in Veracruz, Mexico. So he had actually won 9 straight bouts, but then lost the bout to in Mexico in October. So we'll see what happens there. Now, Patrick Harris is on this card. He will take on, actually, he's scheduled to take on Samuel Amoako, but I'm hearing rumors that bout may not take place because Amoako's a very busy guy. He has already fought. This will be, if he does fight Harris, it'll be his sixth bout in the year of 2015, and he's fought like 3 bouts in a span of 12 days if he fights this bout against Patrick Harris. Patrick Harris 7-0, 4 KOs. Samuel Amoako's last bout was against Mike Yes Indeed Reed. That was at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Reed won a 6-round unanimous decision there. So that'll be an interesting bout as well. Kareem Martin out of Washington, D.C., taking on Sumner Martin, no relation, of course, out of Martinsville, Virginia. Sumner Martin, 5-1, 3 KOs. Kareem Martin, 7-0-1, 3 KOs. Good prospect is Martin, of course. And Sumner Martin has had a couple good bouts, but nobody the caliber of Kareem Martin. And then we have Shingiskan Tazabai. He's out of Kazakhstan. Fighting out of Rockville, Maryland, 2-0, 2 KOs, taking on Reyes Dudley. He's out of Macon, Georgia. He is 2-0-1 with 2 KOs. And Shingiskan Tazabai has really fought very well in his short pro stint. He's a very good pro. I think he's going to be a real solid situation. His story is just wonderful. How he literally just walked in to the Headbangers Gym in Southwest DC, and decided that he wanted to be a headbanger. And they took him in, and he feels very comfortable about that. He's very comfortable around his headbangers, brothers and sister, because there's some women there as well. So we'll see what happens there. Dudley's coming off a second-round TKO over the debuting Dakari Ais, and that was on February 20th in Macon, Georgia. And also one other bout on the card, Gerald Tucker is out of Cincinnati, Ohio. He's 5-0-1, 3 KOs. He scored back-to-back first-round TKOs in his last 2 bouts, taking on Giovanni Vasquez. He's out of the Bronx, New York, and also fought out of Columbia, South Carolina. And actually, this will be Vasquez's 3rd trip to the Beltway, because he fought a debuting fight against Brady Sensabaugh, who's now a Marine in the United States Marine Corps, and he fought him back in June of 2012. His last bout was in January 2013, and he lost a second-round TKO to Kevin Rivers Jr. So we'll see what Vasquez does against Gerald Tucker. I had a chance to meet Tucker at the Golden Glove semifinals a couple weeks ago, and seemed like a very nice guy, and he's getting back into the swing of things as well. So that is the card for the Adrian Broner, Broner-Theophane PBC on Spike card on Friday, April 1st. Remember, the weigh-in is Thursday. That's tomorrow as we record this. That'll be at the Gaylord National Harbor in Fort Washington, Maryland. Why it is there, I do not know. There was some talk today that it might be changed to a D.C. location. I have no idea. In all my years of doing this, I can never remember a D.C. weigh-in, a weigh-in for a D.C. card being held in any place else but a D.C. location. So why this is happening, I do not know. The only other reason I can say is that the majority of the boxers for this card are staying at the Gaylord. So maybe they don't want to come back into town until Friday. I don't know. But I just find it very weird and very interesting that this weigh-in will take place. And it is open to the public, 1 o'clock Eastern time, at the Gaylord National Harbor Hotel in Fort Washington, Maryland. So that's that card. Of course, it kicks off a big weekend here in the area, because we also have the Washington Golden Gloves at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. That'll be on Saturday, April 2nd. We'll be on the air at 7:20 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Box Lawn Beltway Google app for Android. Subscribe to the podcast on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, and on YouTube. And you'll be able to listen to the card live from the Washington Golden Gloves. Should be a lot of fun there. Of course, next week we are at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia, for the Jetta Promotions card, and we'll have more about that hopefully in the next week or so. And that card will be broadcast live on the Box On Beltway Google app for Android. A couple of news and notes before we get out of here. We have a opponent for Dusty Hernandez Harrison, and it will be Mike Dallas Jr., the Sound Assassin out of Bakersfield, California, and he will be fighting on the main event on that Rock Nation card that'll be held at the DC Armory on Friday, May 13th. Now, there's been a lot, and I guess maybe I've started it by some of my comments that I've made here on the podcast, as well as on the blog. I came up with a special written comment about the whole situation with this bout. The bout that was supposed to happen with Tony Jetta that did not happen. I'm not going to say too much more about that. You can read my comments. That's no problem. Mike Dallas, pretty good boxer. 21-3-1, 10 KOs. Once fought for the interim WBC Super Lightweight Championship, and he was knocked out in the second round by Lucas Matisse. And his last two bouts are against guys who have just terrible records. We're talking 5-25-1 and 3-24 and something. The last two boxers that Mike Dallas has fought. A lot of people who criticize this bout because Mike Dallas is a blown up junior welter. He's fought the last two bouts in and around the welterweight limit. So maybe he's getting used to it, and we'll see what happens. But I've also heard on the other side that a lot of people were very scared that Harrison is taking this bout. Mike Dallas took some time off. His father, who was a pro boxer himself, passed away, and he was recovering from that. And that could be a motivating point for Dusty Harris, for Mike Dallas in this situation. So we'll have to see. A lot of people will think very highly of Mike Dallas Jr. So on the surface, it looks like a step up. As far as that's concerned, because he's fought some quality people. He fought, again, Lucas Matisse, knocked out in the second round, and so we'll have to wait and see. But it will be the main event. It'll be on Friday, May 13th at the DC Armory. It'll be televised live by BET. We're also hearing that Vanilla Gorilla Sam Crossett will also be on the card for this particular contest. So that's Friday, May 13th. At the DC Armory. So everything still continues this superb spring in Beltway boxing. Also, congratulations to Mark Bates, the dream catcher out of Washington, D.C. He has signed a promotional contract with King's Promotions. So he's joining the likes of Thomas Snow. He's joining Mike Fox. He's joining DeVar Farhardy, who just signed a contract with King's Promotions in the last week or so in that situation. So Marshall Kaufman, and I think we can give an assist to Ross Malavinsky on this, doing an outstanding job and getting some of our young Beltway boxers on the contract. Good group so far, and we have to see what happens in the future with those guys as they have now signed promotional contracts with King's Promotions out of Reading, Pennsylvania. So that'll do it here for a very brief news and notes. Remember, we'll be all over the card on Friday, April 1st. We'll give you podcasts, hopefully some interviews along the way, live from the DC Armory throughout the evening. We'll do a undercard post-fight wrap-up show with the undercard bouts, take you through the main events after the main events and the televised portion is over with, and we'll get you set up for Saturday's Washington Golden Gloves Finals at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. Hope you can join us there for that. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time at Rosecroft. Come on out and pack the place. If not, you can hear the card live right here on the Box On Beltway Google app for Android. Make sure you join us for that. Until then, I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.